What I want to do today is to focus on what Washington's rediscovery of Afghanistan produced in practice. Now, it would certainly be premature to render an overall judgment of the Obama presidency at this date, the summer of 2014. But it's fair to say that Obama's election produced a flood of elevated expectations. So elevated that disappointment was all but foreordained from the outset. Yes, we can. That had been Obama's campaign slogan. Everything was going to change, and it was all going to be for the better. After the election, Obama mania swept the United States. Nor was the phenomenon confined to the U.S. Obama had been in office barely 8 months, for example, when he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. That yes, we can spirit was evident in the new president's initial efforts to outline his foreign policy agenda. It pervaded his highly touted speech in Cairo, which the administration fancied was going to turn the page on U.S. relations with the Islamic world. The good Obama supplanting the bad Bush. In Cairo, the president unveiled his vision for what he called a new beginning between the United States and Muslims around the world. Obama's new beginning included, supposedly, adherence to the rule of law, democracy, promotion of women's rights, and economic development. Afghanistan offered an immediate test of his ability to implement this vision. Obama began by attempting to reframe the problem. The administration insisted, correctly, that the problems besetting Afghanistan could not be treated in isolation. Those problems occurred in a regional context. Of particular importance in that regard was Pakistan. Of Washington's several problematic allies in the Islamic world, Pakistan occupied a class by itself. Not long ago, Carlotta Gall, among the most seasoned and thoughtful of Western foreign correspondents, published a book called The Wrong Enemy: America in Afghanistan. America's actual enemy, right from the get-go, she argued, had been Pakistan, a very poor, dysfunctional country dominated by an army with a paranoid fear of India and sympathizing with anti-American jihadists. That Osama bin Laden himself was able to live for years in Pakistan speaks volumes about the reality of U.S.-Pakistani relations. The claim that Pakistani military and intelligence authorities were unaware of bin Laden's presence is simply untenable. The Obama administration did not overtly classify Pakistan as an enemy. Instead, it sustained the pretense that Pakistan was an ally, while effectively treating it as part of the Afghan problem. Administration officials coined the term AFPAC to describe the theater of war centered on Afghanistan proper, but now including Pakistan as well. The frontier regions of Pakistan provided a base of operations for jihadists moving in and out of Afghan territory. Employing airstrikes and small commando raids, the U.S. military now began targeting these jihadist sanctuaries, inciting public outrage among many Pakistanis. In addition to expanding the Afghanistan war territorially, Obama also intensified its conduct. Within a month of his inauguration, he announced a 50% increase in the number of U.S. troops deployed in Afghanistan. What exactly these reinforcements were to do remained an open question. In May 2009, Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, presumably acting with Obama's approval, provided a partial answer when he sacked the senior U.S. commander in Afghanistan. As a replacement, Gates appointed General Stanley McChrystal, widely seen as cut from the same cloth as David Petraeus, creative, unconventional, and capable of re-energizing a flagging war effort. Gates charged McChrystal with devising a new strategic plan to guide U.S. and NATO operations. This, we should note, was at a time when the Petraeus fan club was at its height and counterinsurgency all the rage in national security circles. Perhaps not all that surprisingly, McChrystal soon concluded that he was going to do in Afghanistan what Petraeus had done in Iraq. By applying the tenets of counterinsurgency, he was going to win Afghan hearts and minds and pacify the country. By the end of August, McChrystal had completed his plan, which promptly landed in the lap of the Washington Post before President Obama had had a chance to review it. Here are some extracts of what that plan had to say. Protect the people, win their confidence, build a government. That was the recipe. What is it that causes journalists to suspend their inbred skepticism when in the presence of a multi-starred and beribboned general? At any rate, reporters swooned over McChrystal, the way they'd swooned over Petraeus. Writing in Newsweek, for example, Evan Thomas described McChrystal as a Zen warrior. Better still, McChrystal was also smart, polite, gracious, modest, and funny. And he even made time for journalists. He eats one meal a day, Thomas burbled, works out obsessively every morning at 5, and is so free of body fat that he looks gaunt. McChrystal could even recite lines from Monty Python movies. A veritable Renaissance man. Back in Washington, meanwhile, the McChrystal plan soon became the plan, with Obama called upon to rubber stamp it so that the Zen warrior could get on with achieving the inevitable victory. The president, who was elected to change everything, duly complied. In December 2009, he gave McChrystal most, but not all, of what he wanted. In a speech to cadets at West Point, Obama announced that he was ordering an additional 30,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan. These additional forces, he declared, were going to, quote, target the insurgency and secure key population centers. Their presence was also going to, quote, increase our ability to train competent Afghan security forces and to partner with them so that more Afghans can get into the fight. Decode that, and you get this. Obama had bought into counterinsurgency. Or at least he was pretending to. The president added this caveat, however. Within 14 months, the Afghanistan surge was going to end, and the troops were going to start coming home. So the Afghanistan war was now fully Obama's war, whatever its eventual outcome. But the president had placed himself in a position analogous to that of his predecessor in 2007. He was placing a big bet on a general he barely knew, but who claimed to possess a secret formula for victory. Yet General McChrystal had less than an entirely free hand, and his clock was ticking. If he was going to replicate General Petraeus's ostensible achievement in Iraq, he was going to have to produce results quickly. He had no time to waste.